Hello! Welcome to the stream. David Snowpack here from Snowpack Games. I was in the chat just now talking with Discord folks about how the chat sync between Discord and Restream appears to not be fully working today. This has happened before. So chats on other services are going to Discord, but the chats on Discord are not going back to the other services, which sucks because it's like Discord is the one that I want to be the main one. I want Discord to be the main place. But you know, the chat overlay is built on built on Restream. So I think we could probably fix the overlay by making our own custom Discord bot, but that wouldn't necessarily help with Discord messages making their way over to YouTube. So like, is that broken now too? I assume it is. Can someone verify? Are the Discord messages making it to YouTube? Hey Logan, welcome to the stream. I guess I should say hello to everyone, which I'm gonna have to do by looking in different chat windows rather than looking at the overlay. Welcome to Logan. Thanks for coming. Boss MB Gaming, Upgrade, Crabsoft, Snowpeck. Well, welcome to the stream, everyone. Yeah, I'm gonna try to peek in YouTube to see. Yeah, the chats on Discord are not making their way over to YouTube. That sucks. I don't know what the solution to that is. Restream is an awesome service. I love Restream. I get to just stream once, and it's going to YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, both on my Facebook page and my personal account. Twitch, did I already say Twitch? I probably already did. Steam, probably, I think. I have it set up. I never check if Steam is working, but theoretically, this should be streaming to like my Steam developer page and potentially on the pages for my Steam games, but I'm not sure. Someone should probably check that too. Go see if are we talking to the Steamoverse or not. Hey, Ricardo, welcome to the stream. Anyway, how is everybody doing? This has been just an insane week for me. It was the first day of school for my kids was yesterday. So like yesterday was pure insanity, of course, but also like the days leading up because we had like a meet and greet at the school and we had to get all the school supplies and I had to fill out a bajillion forms and all of these things. It's been a crazy time work-wise as well. I have a big project starting on Monday, which I'm super excited about. It is a game dev project, which unfortunately I actually can't say anything about, but it's going to be awesome. And I guess, oh, thanks, Upgrade. You're going to go check Steam and see what's happening there. Hey, Ferroy, welcome to the stream. Hey, yo. What was I talking about? Oh, because I got this big project starting on next week, which I don't know if I'm going to be working on Monday. I haven't totally worked that out yet. Monday's Labor Day in the United States, of course. But next week, I've got this big project starting, so I want to get our distraction timer working to a point that I can actually use it, because as you know, from watching my streams, I am a very distractible person. And this is something I struggle with constantly, both personally and work-wise. I do my best to give as much focus as possible to my clients, since I work as a contract software developer, both in web tech and in games. And so, yeah, I'm always trying to come up with ways to keep myself on track, and this distraction timer is one of those things. Hey, Aaron Winter, welcome to the stream. Hey, the clean. Cool. We got a good crew going today, I think. I'm gonna get my microphone out of my beard here. Um, so yeah, please let me know how your guys' projects and lives and things are going. I see that Boss MB is also getting back to school. Um, but yeah, anything on your game dev adventure? Ooh, Logan says that he made a Portal 2 inspired Godot shader. That is awesome. You are making some really cool stuff lately, Logan. Uh, I've been loving seeing the different things coming on your Twitter. I recommend to everyone check out Logan's Twitter. Uh, but yeah. Oh, you can hear the Discord notifications. That's probably not good. That's probably not good. Let me see. I can probably mute. We're not going to do anything where desktop sound is important today, so let me just mute the desktop sounds in OBS. Crabsoft is going to try out Gut today. Yeah, so I like Gut quite a lot. So test-driven development is something different, in my mind at least, than just doing tests. Like unit tests, functional tests, integration tests are all awesome. They're all great things. Test-driven development is this idea that you write the tests first, always, and then write the code. And I am not 100% behind that. I think that approach can work in a lot of situations. If you're doing something that's very algorithmic, writing the tests first can help guide you through the implementation. Or if you're doing something where the API, the developer experience, is really important, like some aspect of what you're doing, again, writing the tests first can be important. I think this idea, though, that you always write tests first, that every single line of code is tested, I think that's overkill. I think that ends up leading to inefficiency because everything's a set of trade-offs, right? Like you need to have this balance between like, yes, tests are good because I want to avoid regressions and keep things stable and make sure my code is doing what I want it to be doing. But if you're going to add so much like paperwork, kind of like bookkeeping to your development process that you're like spending so much time writing these tests and then maintaining the tests as time goes on, right? I'm not 100% behind test-driven development, but writing tests, yes. Almost every project I have has some amount of tests, and Gut is a really cool add-on. That's the add-on that I tend to use in Godot. There's another one too, another big one. There's probably a bunch of little ones. Godot testing add-ons. Maybe it's on Awesome Godot. Maybe it's on that list. We have Gut. Okay, let's see. GD Unit 3? I'm not sure I've heard of that one. Or maybe that is the other big one. Hard to keep all this stuff straight. What is going on? And you guys are chatting so fast, I can't keep up with it. Upgrade says his uni professor was big on TDD. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are. Another thing, too, is I kind of have this, like, I don't know what to call it, a theory of software development or, like, component development that everything goes through this, like, fixed set of phases. I may have talked about this on stream before, but, like, there's a version 3. There's this version 3 of everything that you're making, and that's kind of like when the thing starts being a real thing. And version 1 is kind of like this slush phase where you don't even know what the thing is going to be yet. So like you're just moving things around and trying stuff and completely rewriting it and whatever. And then, you know, you do that. Then you have like one major rewrite, that's phase 2. And then you have like this final, like, okay, now I know what I'm doing. Now I know what the requirements are. Now I'm making version 3 of the thing. And writing tests when you're in version 1, when you're in the first stage, is such a waste of time. You will spend more time maintaining those tests than actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is kind of like figuring out the space that you're going to exist in and kind of deciding what the final thing is going to look like. I feel like version 3, that is the version when you need to be writing tests like crazy, because now you know what your software is, you know what the space feels like, you kind of know what it's supposed to work like. And like if you're going to, in phase 1, the slush phase, if you're going to be like completely tearing everything apart, every commit that you're making, like that's just, maintaining those tests would be crazy. Anyway, I need to make the chat window bigger because you guys are talking so fast here. Yeah, it is pretty dogmatic on the interwebs. Oh, yeah, streamer mode. Streamer mode. That button came up. I must have not hit it. I don't see the button anymore. The Clean is happy with his game progress, but time passes so fast. Yeah. But about Gut specifically, do you use it much? I mean, I on all my Godot projects that I have tests, I use Gut. It's good. It's good for both unit tests and functional tests. The functional test part is particularly interesting because in games, like, you want to actually like render some frames and have some physics stuff happen, right? Like, Gut is really good for that. Unit test framework, you could probably do anything for it, but Gut is also sufficient for unit tests. Aaron says, testing only makes sense for like heavy math stuff where you need to make sure stuff stays the same. But especially in game development, there's a lot that's really hard to test. Yeah, there is stuff in game development where the effort to test it is so big that it's not worth trying to come up with an automated test for. You know, there's a set of things that are so essential that you should have tests for them, or are so easy to test, like why not? But like there is also the other end of the spectrum where it's like, am I going to test that like the stereoscopic projection on my VR is right? Like, no, you're not, because how are you going to test that? You're going to need like AI to look at both images, and like, I don't know, it's crazy. So there's always this middle ground to be found between testing everything that you can, that makes sense, that's high value, and then not testing some things because it's just going to be more work for you. Like at the end of the day, what you want is to be working smartly such that you are accomplishing a lot and ensuring stability as much as is reasonable, and like no more than that. Otherwise, you're just making up work for yourself. Furrow, I don't mess with unit tests in Godot, but I do make sure every scene can run and work independently. Yeah, that is actually a nice thing to do, to try and make the scenes work both independently and you know, integrated, because you can test them separately, which is fun. I usually, after a certain period of time, things in my game get so coupled that I can no longer do that. But I usually try to make sure that at least the player scene can run independently without the rest of the game. Ooh, Aaron Winter's been working on his own ECS. That is cool. And then there are several big API changes later on, and every time I had to rewrite the tests, yeah. I wouldn't hate a video about testing a Godot, says Crabsoft. You know, the creator of Gut made like a 3-part video series on YouTube, which is pretty good. I swear there's one other testing framework for Godot that I'm just not remembering the name of. But Gut is good. I like Gut. I recommend it. I would put a thumbs up there. I would put a star on it. Did I star it yet? I'm starring it right now. Oh, what? Yeah, that is the other one. Thank you, Crabsoft. Yeah, that is the one that I wasn't thinking of. So I think those are the two big ones. And I don't think I have actually tried Watt. I think I needed testing, so I downloaded Gut. I'm like, this is great. And then I just kept using it. I'd be curious if anyone uses Watt or has used both Watt and Gut and can speak to, you know, whether or not one is better than the other. In the end, like, I've used dozens of testing frameworks in all sorts of platforms and all sorts of environments. And generally speaking, the only time that a testing framework is bad is when it's overcomplicated. Otherwise, they're all kind of the same. They're all kind of the same, so long as they kind of stick to the sort of precedent that was set by like JUnit and those kind of frameworks, and don't get just crazy. When they don't get crazy, you're good. All right, so what are we working on today, guys? We are working on this distraction timer. I was actually working on it before the stream because I was trying to figure out a thing that I wasn't sure I wanted to work on stream. Anyway, let's just introduce what the thing is for people who weren't here last time. So the idea is this will be a phone app that I'm gonna have sitting next to my desk, and when I start working on something I want to focus on, I'll start my timer. Big project number 1, and ooh, something happened. Well, this was working a second ago. Failed to parse in big. Unexpected end of input. Something empty. I wonder, let's just start it up again. I wonder if it was just running so long, like some session expired. Let's just try this. Yeah, some session thing must have expired. I guess that's something we now have to think about. That's a bug we have to fix. So anyway, I start the timer, and now I'm in this zone where I just want to focus. I want to not get distracted. And so when this timer is going, if I do get the urge to go like check my email or see what the status of my PR to Godot is or whatever, I will hit the interruption button, and then an interruption starts, right? I'll go do the thing that I wanted to do, and then I come back and then hit back to work. And the idea is when I'm done working on this project, I can hit done and get some sort of score as to how distracted I was. And then once there's a score attached to it, it will hopefully motivate me to go on fewer distractions, right? I've had a really good experience with this sort of idea with other things. Like I've got this calorie tracker on my phone, and like I put in the things that I'm eating, and I don't even try to reduce it, but just seeing the number like just naturally makes me be like, whoa, I probably shouldn't do that. And so I'm hoping for a similar effect with the distraction timer. And I think there's a lot of cool things we could do, actually. Like I had this idea that when it's in interruption mode, like the whole screen could turn red, and maybe it could play like a really annoying noise, just be like brr, brr, brr at me or something, to just add all of these different psychological cues that I'm in the danger zone and I need to get out of the danger zone. Let me see what's going on in chat. Would it be valuable to pop up an input prompt to name the interruption? I don't think so. I think I want to spend as little time on the interruption as possible, because it is like like when I have an open PR that I care about, I'm in there hitting refresh every couple of minutes, and it's a tiny distraction, right? Like it's a 20-second distraction, but that messes up your flow, right? It makes the quality of the work that you're doing during that period of time less good. And I certainly don't want to make the interruption longer by entering in what the interruption was. I suppose maybe if it was just like a series of buttons, like if I hit interruption and then it was like, it had like 4 buttons to say what the nature of the interruption was, and I just hit it rather than typing in a thing, maybe that could be good. I'm not sure. I mean, this is all an experiment, right? Once I actually use it in practice, I'll be able to see what works and what doesn't work. Maybe this idea won't work at all. That's always a possibility. But yeah. Yeah, a timeline, some sort of visual graph, I totally agree, upgrade. Like, that's one of the advantages to using Godot for this. I kept thinking, like, some sort of circle. Like, every time I think about timers, I think about circles. And something that could, like, maybe as time is going by and an interruption happens, like a slice of the circle gets allocated to an interruption, and maybe I could visually just look at my phone and kind of see like how interrupty this particular work session was. Something cool with shaders would also be fun if the circle could pulse or animate in some kind of cool way. I think that'd be really interesting. Yeah, I suppose it could just time out if you don't want to name it. Prepare a set of expected interruptions. Yeah, like I looked at chat. Yeah, that's another thing, man. So on my Discord, people will ask for help with things, or just ask questions, or just say random stuff, and I'm just like, must not press the button to go look at my Discord. I actually have a script on my computer called distractions.sh that will launch all of my chat apps or kill all of my chat apps. And so sometimes what I do when I'm starting work is I'll, distractions.sh stop, and it'll kill Discord and Rocket Chat and all of that stuff. And then when I'm on a break or whatever, then I'll do distractions start and bring them all back. But yeah, like sometimes I don't stop my Discord and then I just keep looking. Yeah, kids too is another thing. When something will be so urgent for my children, like getting the right setting on Minecraft or something. And they'll come and they'll to my door, and sometimes my younger daughter especially will be like freaking out about this thing I need to help her with in Minecraft. And okay, yeah, that takes me 30 seconds, but again, takes you out of your flow. Yeah. So that is what we're working on. What I was working on before the stream started is we're building this with Supabase as the backend, which we were exploring a bunch last time. Supabase is like a Firebase alternative, although I don't know how similar it is to Firebase because I've never used Firebase, but it's all based on, or I guess not all based, but the core of it is Postgres, the SQL database. It also has some other pieces, like it has these edge functions that you can run in JavaScript, and it has a storage system that reads and writes files to S3 that you could use for like save states. It has a bunch of other random things in it, but kind of the central component of it is Postgres. And so we've made this database to store the timers and interruptions. And before the stream, I was trying to work on setting up a Postgres function and a Postgres trigger to make sure that the data in the database was the way that we wanted it to be. Because we have these timers here where like, here's the timer ID, here's the time that it's starting at, here's the time that it's stopping at, and then this is just relation stuff. Like this is the owner of the timer, imagining there's multiple users in the system. There's probably only ever going to be me, but and then the activity that the timer is for, because I want to be able to look at, am I more distractible when working on this project versus that project? But we only ever want one timer to be running at a time, right? So this timer starts, it hasn't been stopped yet. We don't want it to be possible for me to start another timer, which you actually see I've done down here. So there's now technically two timers running at the same time, which will totally break the reporting once we add some kind of reporting. So I was trying to set up some Postgres triggers to prevent that, and it wasn't working. I don't know if we'll keep working on that on stream. I mean, maybe we'll take a 2 second, maybe a 5 minute look at it, and then maybe move on to something more Godot-ish if we can't figure it out. Ricardo says, when you press interruption, could you start the phone camera and put a message on the screen like, look at yourself in the eye? Are you really going to do this? I love that, Ricardo. I love that. Furroy has an M1 with nothing but Godot and Xcode installed on it. No bookmarks and apps, so I'm not tempted. That's a really great idea. Yeah, lots of great ideas for trying to keep the distractions down. This is modern life. This is what we're all struggling with now that there's just so much coming at us at all times. So anyway, let's check out this function and trigger stuff. So it's been a really, really long time since I've written a stored procedure. That's basically a function in a database that you can define yourself. I've never, I don't think, written a stored procedure in Postgres. No, I must have. But most recently, I've written stored procedures in MySQL, which is different than writing them in Postgres in a couple of little ways. It's actually possible in Postgres to write stored procedures in like JavaScript in Python, which they don't let you do on Supabase for whatever reason. You can only write them in either Postgres's stored procedure language or like one that I guess is closer to ANSI SQL. But the idea is, if you guys can see what's in this tiny little window here, maybe not actually because my face is blocking it. Here, I'll copy and paste this into Xcode, not Xcode, I'm saying Xcode because someone just said it in chat, into VS Code. So we can take a look at it. Oh, here we go. We'll put it in the scratch pad. So the stored procedure declares a variable. And then I have all these debug statements that I've been throwing in here, raise notice, because it's not working. It doesn't seem to even be running. But the idea is we'll check if the record we're about to insert into the database has stopped at set to null, which means we're inserting a running timer. And then more debug statements. Then we're going to assign to our running timer variable by checking if there are any timers in the timer table where the same owner, for the same owner that's this new record is being inserted for, where the stopped at column is null. And then if there is one, then we raise an exception, which should block inserting that row, right? We want to make it impossible for the data in the database to not match the constraints that we've set for it, so that our reporting can be super simple and doesn't have to worry about invalid data. So I don't know why this isn't working. I have a couple of ideas. I added all these debug statements to try and see what the heck was going on. But they're not appearing in the logs. So either the logs don't show them in Supabase, and I just don't know that, or it's not running. So let's try a couple of things. Let's go to the SQL. Where's the SQL editor? SQL editor. And I don't know that we can just raise a notice from SQL without being in a stored procedure, but let's try it. I think this is part of the stored procedure language, not the yep, okay, not just plain SQL. So we'll have to let's make like a little function to test that we can put things in the logs. That's what we're going to do really quick. Create a new function, test me. It's going here, return type I guess is void. And we're going to say begin, raise notice. This is a test, and then end. Simplest stored procedure. And then we're going to go to the SQL editor, and we are going to run it. All right, returned nothing. Now let's go look in the database, the Postgres logs, and let's see. Man, and these logs aren't the easiest to look at either, because there's like a mix of stuff in here that this dashboard is actually doing and stuff that my app is doing. So let's just search for test me and see if that shows up in any of the logs. Okay, here we go. This log entry, select test me, here we go. Happened, this happened, but there's no indication in the logs that my message happened. Lame. Okay, well maybe let's look at the timestamp. How about that? So we'll try and find other logs near this timestamp. So this was 10:26:14. Let's get rid of my search. Let's just look for everything near 10:26:14. 10:26:19, 10:26:14. Okay, so this looks like the SQL statement running, some authentication, some other stuff. Man. Okay, so it looks like we can't debug by trying to put notices in the log. That sucks. Show all non-error events. So is it just showing everything now? That's interesting. Clear. Stop doing this. Let's raise an exception and see if that appears. Maybe just notices aren't like intense enough. Let's make this be an exception. Raise exception. This is a test. And then we will run it. Failed to run query. This is a test. All right, so let's go to the logs. Even if we have to totally kill the query, if we can get something to appear in the logs, that's a victory. If anyone knows like an easier way to debug Postgres, aha, it appeared, this is a test. If anyone knows a better way to debug Postgres stored procedures, please let me know. Okay, so we know we can raise exceptions and have them appear. So let's edit our stored procedure. We'll just straight off the bat, if it runs, we will raise an exception. And now let's go to our app, and we'll just do things. Hey! Okay. DRS, running trigger. Okay, cool. So our stored procedure is running. I think we can ride this throwing exceptions thing to actually get this working. Let's see if we can. Okay, so we know the trigger is running. And we'll change this one into an exception as well. So this will tell us if this debug message happens, then that means the new row being inserted has its stopped at set to null. So back to here. There we go. It detected that that one is a new timer. One step closer. Now it's going to set this variable to be, hang on, I think I need to do select ID into, right? Let's make this next debug statement be raise exception. Okay, it took that, it accepted it. I wonder if that was the problem. I wasn't specifying which column to pull in. All right, start. DRS, running timer. So it actually has the UUID of the timer. Let's get rid of all the debug statements and see if it works now. Sometimes like debugging a problem just makes you look at the lines of code you wrote in more detail and can lead to the fix even if the actual like debug statements or, you know, the debugger didn't tell you. You just like scrutinize that line just a little bit harder. Got you to look at it in a slightly different way. Hey, cannot start new timer when timer blah is already running. That is the message. Cool. So now let's clear out the data from this table. I have to go back to the table editor. Timers. Let's clear it all out. And we'll do a proper test of this. And then we'll do the same thing for interruptions. We'll make sure that you can't have two interruptions running at the same time. And then we'll move on to something more Godot-ish. I didn't share my to-do list when I started, but the next thing, I want to make sure that this database integrity is kept. And then I want to add a nicer control for setting the activity. So right now you just type into a text field, but it's actually creating like an activity object, not object. Like it's creating an actual, you know, thing in a database for the individual activities. And so I want to have some way to easily pick a pre-existing one. So we'll add some sort of like drop-down button or maybe like autocomplete or I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Sometimes I'm amazed at how many potential bugs I fix without ever finding the one I'm working on. Yeah, that's another thing. You're like trying to find why this thing isn't working. You're like, oh, that's not right. That's not right either. Cool. So we were going to test. We were going to test this thing out. So let me just exit out of here. Start a new instance. Working. We'll start. It should let us start the timer. Oh no. How's it finding? Okay. Something's still to fix here. Let's refresh this. I thought I deleted all of you. Delete rows. Okay. Oh, failed to run, updated, delete on, violates the foreign key constraint. Timers, timer, F key on table interruptions. Violates the foreign key constraint, interruptions, timer, F key. Why would there be a constraint? Oh, we have to delete the interruptions first because if we don't delete the interruptions, that will mean there will be interruptions in the database that are attached to non-existent timers. So that makes sense. That is good. It's that foreign key constraint is keeping the data in our database clean and good. We should probably add I forget what it's called. Maybe it's also a trigger, but there's a thing that you can have where if you remove a entry from one table, it'll delete all of the related entries from other tables. We should probably do that. Like if you delete a timer, it should delete all of the associated distractions. Oh, yep, Boss MB Gaming caught it. So now this is all cleared out. So we can come back in here, start up a timer, and it's working. It hasn't prevented us from going. I will stop it. Let's just make sure we can do it a couple times in a row. And we will kill the app before stopping the activity, which, let me double check, that should leave one running timer going. So now if we launch the app again, and I try to start a new timer, it should give us the error. Hey, there we go! We're gonna have to add something at some point too that has it like try to find existing timers when the app starts. We may have to add that super soon, actually, because once this is an error, we'll have a lot of trouble testing without being able to do that. So I'll delete these again. Yeah, in MySQL, it's cascade delete. Possibly. I have this, I like, and maybe you guys have this too, where I remember that a thing exists and how it works, but I just don't remember what it's called. I have that problem like all of the time. But yeah, cascade delete could be. We will Google, and our overlord, Lady Google, will tell us the answer. But first things first, I want to make a similar stored procedure for, oh my gosh, 69 mega. Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm going to block you and get rid of your character. Bam. All right. Yeah. Nice spam, says Arvid. We've been getting a lot of spam lately. Is that a sign that the stream is more successful? I hope so. I'd like to take something positive out of it. Okay, so check one running timer. I'm just going to edit this so I can copy and paste it. We're going to create a new stored procedure, which we'll call check one running interruption. And it is going to have a return type of trigger, which I don't know why the styling is such that it's like white. It's like light gray on white. It's super hard to read. And we'll copy and paste this in here to then edit it. I wish this box had the thing where you can like drag it to be bigger. Editing the code in this little tiny box is kind of annoying. Okay, so running interruption is what we'll call the variable. Interruption? Does interruption have two P's? Does it have two R's? Hang on. Interruption. Interruption has two R's, one P. All right. So I got it right up here. So we're going to say if new stopdat is null, we'll select ID into running timer from interruptions, where owner equals new owner, and interruptions are specific to timers. So you have to say new timer equals I'm sorry, where timer equals new timer. I guess you can write it in either way in SQL, but I like to do this order where the thing we're checking against is the column on the table that we are froming, and then this is the thing we're checking against. And the stopdat is null, limit 1 I probably don't need because we have this working for us, but I'll leave it there. If running timer is not null, cannot start new interruption on timer when interruption is already running. And then we will put the timer ID as well as the running interruption. Hang on, I got to rename from running timer to running interruption. Running interruption. This I need to change to running interruption. I think I got all of them. First glance looks good. Oh, Boss MB Gaming also caught my Thinko there. Thank you for keeping an eye out for me. We are pair programming together, all of us, one big hive mind. All right, so we created the function. PostgreSQL seemed to accept it. We now need to add the trigger. I'm going to create a new trigger. This is on insert interruption. I probably 1P, 2Rs. I should probably have a trigger for update as well. I'm a little unsure how to write the function for update though. It will have to like take into account the entry itself that we are updating when doing the select, and I haven't felt like thinking through that. So for now, we're just going to deal with inserts. At some point, maybe I'll figure out how to deal with updates as well. Not a priority right now because you can't update any data. You can't update timers. We're just inserting timers. You probably will never be able to update timers. Actually, you can update timers to set the end time, but beyond that, like you shouldn't ever be changing the start time of a timer, right? But we'll see. So on insert interruption, we want to execute the function we just created. Check one running interruption. Okay, so we will test this out in a similar way to how we tested out the timers. We're going to first test that it doesn't stop us. So we will start work. We'll start an interruption. We'll say we're going back to work, and all was good in the world. Now we're going to start an interruption, and we're gonna have to. How are we gonna test this? Because now that I'm thinking about it, our check is actually checking if there's any other running interruptions on the same timer. But we don't want two timers running at the same time anyway, so maybe we should just be checking globally that there aren't any other running interruptions. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what we want to do. We don't want to worry about the timer that it's running on. We just want to worry that there's any running interruptions at all. We also want to make sure that an interruption can't be running if the timer has stopped. And we could do that with a stored procedure as well. Because, okay, I don't know actually even what's going to happen if I stop the timer without stopping the interruption. Like, what does that look like in the database? Yeah, so it didn't stop this this interruption. So we'll need a stored procedure that is triggered when we update a timer and set its stopped at to stop any running interruptions. That's a thing we need too. Okay, let's maybe poke at this just a tiny bit more, but I want to kind of get out of the database in a moment and get back to Godot. Yeah, Boss MB Gaming is saying you can't run two timers at once, so it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter, but like just the theoretical existence of two running interruptions just bothers me. So I may change that. Hey, the buddy Adrian, welcome to the stream. I haven't been looking at the characters people have gotten because partially we've been having this problem. Ooh, someone's stuck up at the top with the Discord sync today. But yeah, Furroy's a bearded orc in a dress. The buddy Adrian also an orc in a dress, but with a ponytail. I'm an orc in what suspiciously looks like a dress with a beard. We have a lot of dress-wearing orcs today. Crabsoft's got an old human dude. Oh, Logan's got a guy with my haircut with the the balding down the center there. The Clean's got a red fro. Aaron Winter appears to not be wearing pants. He's gone for the relaxed approach to clothing today. Some good-looking folks on our overlay. Yeah, I concur, Boss MB. There are always weird edge cases, so we may as well Yeah, sorry, Arvid. The reason you don't have a character is because you've been chatting on Discord, and for whatever reason, the sync between Discord and Restream is broken today. This is not the first time it is broken. It is broken on other streams, but it's broken today. If you go on YouTube or Twitch or any of those, the sync, I believe, is still working, so you can get a character that way. You're flying under the radar. All right. Let's go back to our stored procedures here. I'm going to edit this check one running interruption, and I'm just going to make it not be timer specific. It's just going to check if there are any other running interruptions. And then we're going to get rid of this note about the timer. Say cannot start new interruption when interruption is already running. And we're going to want to have a stored procedure that runs when the timer table is updated to set the stopped at. This is going to be interesting. I'm not entirely sure how triggers on update work. Like, do you get to see the old data? Like, how do you do that? As a mostly MySQL user, I haven't used stored procedures too much. I tend to get into situations where all of the like constraints and stuff are set at the application level, which is of course error prone, right? Like having them check at the database is more strict, is more likely to keep your data integrity the way you want it. Let's say Postgres update trigger old row data. Watch, it's just going to be the word old. Old. It totally is. Beautiful. So this should be relatively easy. We will write a new function. It is going to be stop interruption when timer stops. So we will say we're returning a trigger, public schema, but I don't think we need to declare anything. Or no, we do, because we need to do a SQL select to get the running interruption. So this will be running interruption, UUID, and we'll do begin, end, and then you'll need to set. We need to first see if this is if this update statement is changing the stopped at time from null to not null. So we'll say if old stopped at is null and new stopped at is not null. Ooh, I forgot to capitalize this is. In SQL, you can write the keywords either capital case, lowercase, mixed case, whatever, but it's just easier for me to read if I always write the SQL keywords capitalized. Okay, so if we're changing from null to not null, then we need to check if there are any running interruptions on this timer. So we will say select ID into running interruption from interruptions where the timer equals the new timer. Yeah, I would love to also say that we can't change interruptions to different timers or whatever, but whatever. Or no, hang on. New ID. So that actually shouldn't change anyway. Okay, never mind. Forget the note I started saying. So if where timer equals new ID and stopped at is null. So this should be checking to see if there is any timer, any interruption for this timer that isn't stopped. And I don't know that we need to check owner. I like to check owner though. We don't need to check owner. I'm gonna leave it be. Or should I check it? Man, all these dumb little questions. I'm just gonna check it just to be safe. Where the owner is what we expect it to be. And so then we get to say if running interruption is not null, so there's already an interruption running, and if, then we will update interruptions. We are going to be setting the stopped at field. Oh man, values. Oh, no, that isn't how I do this. That's how you do insert statements. Hang on. Update set stopped at equals now. Or no, well, I want it to be exactly the same to the new stopped at value. So update interruptions, set stopped at to equal the stopped at value on the timer, where ID equals running interruption. So this should update, this should stop the interruption that is presently running. And I think that's good. Does that look good to you guys? Insofar as you can even see that, because it's behind my face. Let's try it. So we need to add a new trigger. This is on update timer. So update, the table is the table is timers. For event row, function is stop interruption when timer stops. Wait, I messed something up. I put this on insert interruption trigger on the wrong table. All right, let's delete that. Type the name of the trigger. On insert interruption. Okay, let's try creating that one again. We never got around to testing it because I started down this tangent, but on insert interruption, the table is interruptions. Insert, and before the event, and row, and check one running interruption. Okay, so on insert interruption happens on interruptions. Check one running interruption, insert. That looks good. On insert timer, timers, check one running timer, insert. That looks good. On update timer, timers, stop interruption when timer stops, update. Okay. Let's go delete some data. I'm going to add a note to my notes about the cascading delete. My notes are not on screen. I have a Google Doc over here. Cascading delete interruptions when deleting timers. Okay, let's jump back here and here. And we'll go to our tables, clear out some data. Timers. All right, we're gonna do, that's just fine leaving this timer. I'll just leave it. We're gonna do the same test we did before. We're going to start a timer. We're going to start an interruption. And without stopping the interruption, we're going to stop the timer. Ooh, control reached end of trigger. Oh, without a return. Okay, we just forgot a return new in our stored procedure. So let's go to our stored procedure. that was stop interruption from timer stops, edit function, and just at the very end, after all the ifs, we need return new. Cool. So, I think we got to delete some data again. Or maybe actually this will give us a good opportunity to test. So we have a running interruption and a running timer. So how about this? Let's stop this timer. I don't know, just put any value in here. It doesn't matter. Oh, we should probably have a constraint that says the stopped at time can't be lower than the started time. Constraint stopped at must be greater than started at. Okay, another thing for my to-do list. We won't do that today. I want to get down to Godot in a second. Let's just finish this up. Yeah, let's say it happened, I don't know, random numbers. Then, oops. Why did that save? Numbers. Numbers. Save. Invalid input with time. Oh, invalid time zone? Okay, I'll think about this more. So is this AM or PM, or is this the time zone? How do I enter the time zone? It doesn't give me a spot to enter it. Okay, well, it took it that time. Okay, so we have no open timers, but we have this open. Oh, it just did our stored procedure. It just did it. Okay, so we know the stored procedure works, but I want to clear this out. There we go, null. So there's an open timer, and then I just want to check, I want to check that it won't let us start a new interruption. So now I try to start an interruption. Yep, cannot start an interruption when interruption's already running. Okay, whew. All of the stored procedures we have created today on the stream are working. They are tested. Let's clear out the data and move on. We have secured victory in the land of Postgres, and now we are ready to switch to the land of Godot. Okay, so grand success! Yay! Crabsoft earlier said, and I missed it, I feel like even though it's gaining traction, Godot is a way bigger deal than anybody is talking about. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I also am getting that feeling of just sort of building goodness and that the world is missing out. But yes, we are Postgres. Let's dig into here. I'm thinking I would like to support autocomplete if possible, just because I like autocomplete. But a drop-down also makes sense. You don't have to type anything. Let's maybe start with a drop-down. So that would mean we want to put another button after here. And I don't feel like making an icon, so we're going to put a letter here. Put an M. We'll put an M there, and that will be our button for the time being. I'll replace it with an icon at some point. Hey, did you guys know about this feature of Godot themes? That you can have theme variations? Either this didn't exist or I didn't know it existed. I had a totally different way of doing different colored buttons in the past. I would actually make like a theme that just did my different kinds of buttons. And so I'd have one theme that did the default button style, and then I would have another theme that just changed the button style to a different way. But there's variations. So like this button looks gray like this, but if I come over into theme, the theme is empty right now because it's inheriting it from above, but there's this theme type variation, and I can choose green button or red button. Isn't that cool? Did you guys know that existed? I had no idea that that existed. I think I'm going to keep it as the gray one, but yeah, that's a really cool feature. Autocomplete is always so sexy, but I never get around to that level of polish. It's a phone app, right? So you could do mobile style autocomplete with suggestions above the box. It is a phone app. Do you mean like where you have the keyboard and then it actually puts them in like the little keyboard area? Because that would be cool. I don't know if we can do that. I was just gonna create like a pop-up that went under that would have each of the options, which I think is still what I'm gonna do. Because even though I'm making this as a phone app, I don't know. Maybe I'll want to use it on the desktop. I don't know. We'll see. The buddy agent says, I think that's a new Godot 3.5 feature. Maybe. Yeah, I guess I could load up an old version to see it. But yeah, it's a cool feature. I didn't even know that was coming. I didn't see it coming. And then I was doing the theming for this last week. Last week, Friday, after the stream in the evening, I was theming it up. All right, so let's see what we're going to do here. We have this button. We're going to call it activity list button. And we are going to need, what is the node? I actually wrote out the node in my notes. Let me just take a quick look at my notes. Pop-up menu. There's too many things in the like window pop-up hierarchy. I can never keep them straight. So pop-up menu is what we want. Let me go back to the right things here. And I think we want it to be just a child of main. Or, yeah, I don't, is there like a set as top level equivalent for control nodes? I'm not sure the answer to that question, but we'll call this activity pop-up menu. And we're going to need to add items to it dynamically. I'm thinking the app loads, so we load up all of the existing activities. We're going to need to do something where we update them if new things are created, like if someone's running 2 instances of the app. That's not something I'm worried about now, because again, my priority is just getting this working enough so that I can use it, and I can just never do that. I can just decide that's not a thing I'm going to do. But I would like to implement that at some point, because there's a really cool Supabase feature that you can subscribe to like change notifications on different tables, so that like your app is running, and if something changes in the database, it will actually ping from Supabase to your app to let you know that a new item was inserted. So I would love to be able to support that. So I could have like the app open on 2 phones, start a timer on one phone, and then it would start the timer in both places, or add an activity over here, and then now that activity is available over here just immediately. Not because I need it, but because that would be super fun to implement. But for now, let's just say the app starts, and we want to load the activity list. What are we doing in onReady? Not very much. Oops. Let's say after the logged in, we will call another method, be like load activity list, which we will define right here. Load activity list. And let me just look at some of the code we wrote last week and steal it, so I don't have to re-remember what each of these little things are called. Where's just a select query? Just give me a select query. Sir, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll take this one, even though we have to kind of combine these lines together. So I think we only need the one query, so we will just get rid of this thing where we're making these variables that we're keeping around. We did that in that other method because we were making a number of queries, and so we wanted to just kind of reuse the same variables. So we have query equals superbase query equals database. Then db task does that. So we want to select. Actually, we should be able to just select everything, because if you remember last time we set up the Postgres row level security so that any select query that I make will limit it to entries on the table where the owner column matches my user's owner. And I'm interested to see if that just works the way that the docs have led us believe that it should work. So this will be like error getting activity list. And then here we want to populate our activities. So let's make this node be scene unique. This is really like my first project where I'm really using the scene unique thing. And I think was it here? Or was it on another project I did after this? I'm sort of evolving my style of how I'm using the scene unique thing. In this project, I've just been like putting it, inline like this, but I kind of hate typing $ quotation. Oops. What is that character called? Percent, and then the thing, and then this. Like it sucks. So I think the style that I'm going to settle on eventually, or the style I started using on another project, was still doing onReady vars, but using the scene unique name, because it's much nicer to type just plain variables than those lookup syntax thing. So this is activity pop-up menu, activity pop-up menu equals, and then here's where we'll do that very annoying syntax, activity pop-up menu, and then down here we will start manipulating it. And I do not remember all the methods. I think it's add item, but we'll start by saying activity pop-up menu clear items. We're gonna need the docs. We are going to need the docs. So Godot stable docs. And we need pop-up menu. Oh, you know what? I bet it just didn't auto-complete it because we did not tell it that it was a pop-up menu. Here. Pop-up menu. Can you drag control nodes into VS Code? I know that you can do that in the Godot editor. I've never tried it with VS Code. Let's figure out the I3 buttons we need to press to get this on the screen at the same time. Nope. Okay. Meta A, meta V. Nope, that didn't work. Okay. And then we will do. Okay, there probably was an easier way to do that with I3, but I did it that way. Nah, we can't do it with VS Code. All right, move this back up here. Hold control and drag? It's even easier is to control them. Okay. Ooh, okay, that worked that time with the I3 magic. So hold control and drag. Drag and drop to VS Code appears not to work, at least in my environment. I'm not sure. What did I do? What did I do? Okay. I'll move this back over here, I think. Or I want this one over here. Okay. Anyway, now is it clear items? No, what is it to remove all the items? Or do I have to remove them individually? Add item, get item, remove item. Can I just get item count, get item count. Okay, we'll just do a loop. We'll do a loop. There doesn't appear to be a clear method. Oh no, there is. Just plain clear. Okay, sweet. That's what it is then. Clear. And then we are going to loop over the DB task data. So this would be for, we'll say, activity data in DB task data. And then we're going to create a new item, which, how do we do that? Add icon item, add just plain item, adds a new item with text label. ID can optionally be provided. ID is, of course, an integer, unfortunately. If no ID is provided, one will be created from the index. Can we set metadata on these in any way? Because we're going to need a way to relate the item to the actual activity ID, which I could have made be an integer. I made them all be UUIDs. I really like UUIDs, so that's why I went that way. We may have to have our own map dictionary to track that. Let's say our activity menu map, make a dictionary there. Yeah, for this is GDScript, but it's not the Godot editor. It's the Godot VS Code integration. It would be sweet if that worked, because I do really like that feature of the Godot editor, but I like basically everything else about working in VS Code better. Okay, so what does add item return? Nothing. So we need to make our own IDs. So we'll say var activity ID, and we'll start at 1. And we will say activity menu map will map from the activity ID to the actual underlying ID from the database, the UUID. And then we'll say activity, pop-up menu, add item. We'll take the name, I think we called that column name, the activity ID, and then we need to increment our activity ID. Let's see if this is everything we need here. Ooh, come on, VS Code. Usually it will pop up the little doc snippet when I press Control Q. What is Excel? What is this last thing here? No Excel is providing the default 0 will be assigned to it. Item accelerator. What is an item accelerator? Returns the accelerator to the item and index. Accelerators are special combinations of keys that activate the item no matter which controls. Oh, okay, so it's like a shortcut. Like a shortcut. So this should populate our menu, I think, I hope. Let me double check the column names. I want to make sure that it's name. We'll go to Supabase and activities. It is name. Name is correct. Some of these have empty names. That shouldn't be allowed. We need to set up a constraint or something there. I'll put that on my notes, my post-stream notes. Constraint preventing activity with empty name. Back to my chat and here. Okay, I'm getting pretty good at I3, guys. I don't know if all of you were here when the first stream that I was talking about it, but I used a window manager called Ion, and then a fork of it later when the original maintainer abandoned it, called Notion. I used that window manager since 2001. So 21 years I used the same window manager. And it kind of like became the way that I use the computer. Like I pressed the same keys for opening windows, moving windows, resizing windows for 21 years. And I switched a couple weeks ago to i3, and it has totally different keys, but I'm loving it. I'm getting better at it. In a couple more weeks, I'll probably be just as quick as I used to be as far as moving around windows and resizing them and all of that stuff. Anyway, so I think I got this right. Now all we need to do is show our pop-up menu when the button is clicked. And then we'll figure out autocomplete next. I'm thinking we'll show the menu and then filter out options that don't match the text that you have so far typed. And then have like an enter button when you're in the line edit to grab the thing that you've autocompleted to. Or maybe we won't do that. Maybe we won't do that because maybe what if you want to name something that's a part of a name? Or maybe we could do the thing where you like put in text like at the end, but you select it so typing keeps it moving. I don't know. We'll figure that out. D menu is so convenient. Oh, cool. Yeah, I haven't gotten deep into all of the things that D menu can do other than just like, you know, here's D menu, like launching things. Krabsoft says, I don't do any of the fancy i3 stuff, but it just does some really unique things that nothing else can provide. Yeah, it is interesting. I'm really liking it. The customizability, and so this is a thing too. i3 is customized with this really simple configuration file, which is just great. Like the user experience of this configuration file is fabulous, which probably sounds strange to anyone who isn't like a normal Unix user. Like, what is the user experience of a configuration file? But there is really like a user experience to a configuration file. It's a thing. It's really great because my old window manager was configured by writing Lua code, which is fine. Lua's fine. But every time I went to go customize it, I'd be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to remember how Lua works. So I kind of just didn't customize it very much. Whereas i3, the customization is really easy, so I'm customizing it all the time. Okay, what was I doing? We wanted to make this button open the activities thing. So pressed, activity list button pressed. And now we want to jump down here. I think actually we'll move this up to the top. Put it right below the load activity list. The noob reviewer! I love your voxel game. Can't wait to make some creation in it. Thanks! And welcome to the stream, noob reviewer. I can't wait to get back to the VR voxel game. I'm so distractible. That's why I need this distraction timer. This will help everything. This one app will change my life, I hope. Maybe. Activity pop-up menu. So now we want to pop it up. We want it to pop up in a very specific spot, but for now I'm just going to pop it up centered, just because I want to get it on the screen and see that it contains what it's supposed to contain. So let's save this. Let's run it. And bam. Hey, there we go. Now we need to get it positioned correctly, which I think we can actually just position it manually. I think if we show this and we want to just put it down here, or maybe can pop-up windows? Okay, if I make this pop-up window be in the H box, what does that mean? Nope, nothing good. Nothing good. Okay. Let's put it back here. This app will fix everything. One app will change my life. Can I get some backstory about this app? I was not on the streams. So I'm making this mobile distraction timer app. The idea is you start a timer when you're doing some activity you want to be focused on, for example, a work project. And then every time you get distracted, you start an interruption in that timer to sort of track that you were interrupted and how long you're interrupted for, so that when you're done with the activity, you get kind of a score of how focused you were, how distracted you were, to try and encourage you to stay focused. And as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I've had great success with this in other things. Like I have a calorie tracker on my phone, and just by tracking my calories without even setting any goals, I do eat less calories, just because there's now a number associated with it. I'll look at it and be like, maybe I shouldn't do that. So I'm hoping to have a similar kind of effect with staying focused on the thing that I want to be focused on. Yeah, I mean, I think I posted the code for this publicly. I think it's just on my GitLab. So if anyone does want to use it, I mean, I intend to MIT license it so anyone can use it or change it or whatever. Distraction timer. Have I made this public? Is this public? It is presently not public. Let's fix that. Where do I got a copy of the MIT license? Or I guess technically the expat license, but whatever. Let's oh, hang on. I'll use a terminal that's on the screen so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let's go to distraction timer. Let's copy the license from Retro Tank Party because I know that that is the MIT license. Change the copyright to 2002. Let's add this. Let's just commit this license. Add license. Push it. And set this to public. Oh. I just realized that the like my password is hard coded. My password is hard coded. Don't mess with my database, please. Maybe I should set this back to private. Okay, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll tell you guys. I will make this public as soon as I have a real login screen. As soon as I have a real login screen for this app, I will make it public, and then anyone can use it. Because you won't be messing with my database. How about that? That is my promise to you. So let's get back to working on this. Pretend that never happened. Krabsoft says he published his Discord webhook in a video the other day. Yeah, and I guess you can go and just like refresh it and get a new one. Because, yeah, I have done stuff like that, too. Accidentally committed a key to a Git repo or whatever. Is this going to be on the Play Store? Yeah, sure. I wasn't planning on doing it, but I certainly could. Yeah. When it has a login screen, let's publish it to the Play Store. Let's do it. Let's do it on stream even, maybe. I don't know. Publishing things on the Play Store is super annoying. You have to, like, upload, like, 14 images and fill out all these description fields and stuff. It's not a great experience, but we can do it. We can do it. We're driven people. Okay. So what was I doing? I was going to figure out how we're going to position this activity window. So let's show it. I would like its anchor to be wherever. It kind of doesn't matter, right? Like I just want it to appear right here. And I want it to have a kind of minimum size, and then I want to set the grow direction. I'm a little bit worried about the horizontal grow, vertical grow. Will this just work for us? This might just work. Nope. Oh, because I didn't get rid of that pop-up centered. Let's get rid of the pop-up centered. And what is the method to call if I just want to pop it up with nothing? That might be it. Let's try it. Hey, there we go. I don't know what's going to happen if, well, I guess I do know what's going to happen if there's items in here that are wider than this window. It will grow it to the right, which we don't necessarily want. Maybe just to be safe, I'll set the grow direction to both on the horizontal axis. We'll see if this is enough. Is this like, we'll do it, or the avatars will fade over time? You know what? There's only so much time in the day. Okay, what time is it now? How much time do we have left on the stream? Should we make the avatars fade? Should we just do that right now on the stream? Yeah, we do need to make the avatars fade over time. I don't feel good being called out on the things that I haven't done that I've said we will do. Also, too, I wonder, okay, if is there a way to make this pop-up menu have a max size? Exclusive makes it so you can't press other things, right? If true, this pop-up will not be hidden when a click event occurs outside of it or in CVUI cancel event. No, we do want that. We do want that. Thank you for the heart grab soft, softening the blow. But this is pretty good. We can now pick, we can now get an activity. We need to set up the thing where an activity gets selected. So we need to say index pressed. Again, I'm going to want to move this method up to the top, the same sort of area. I'm going to do all the activity stuff, putting it kind of towards the top because the activities are visually to the top of the interface. And here we can get the activity ID by using our activity menu map and the index. That should give us the UUID. And then what I want to do is just do I want to immediately start the timer, or I kind of envisioned that I wanted to immediately start the timer, but maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I just want to fill in the text box. Maybe we don't need this activity map. Let's just fill in the text box. Let's just say activity pop-up menu get item. Ooh, what is item metadata? Maybe we could have used that. I want to get the item text. And I think get item text takes an index. Let's just look at the docs really quick. Get item text takes an index, sweet. And then we will set the activity field. Did we call it field? We called it field, which I'm going to set up on ReadyVar because, like I said, I'm switching to this other kind of way of using the scene unique nodes. Activity field. Let's line edit equals activity field. Okay, so here we want to say activity field text equals this. So let's give it a try. So this, there we go, filled it in. And we're going to want to clean up this data, but I also would like, when you're typing, for options to appear. So I think once you start typing, we'll show the pop-up menu and filter out the items that, or is this fine? This is probably fine. I like autocomplete. Autocomplete is awesome. But maybe this is fine for this step. I kind of really wanted to do the autocomplete though. Let's try implementing the autocomplete. Maybe what I'll do is I'll commit this, and then we'll start working on the autocomplete. And if it's a total disaster, I can just wipe it out. One of the beautiful things of Git. So let's see what we got here. I'm just gonna look at the Git diff really quick. Seems fine. I guess I can wipe out this activity map because it turns out we're not using it. Let me go get rid of that before we commit. Activity menu map and the activity menu map. This looks in the diff. Looks fine. Or I guess I didn't see the whole diff. Okay, that also seems fine. You've done autocompletes for inputs, Arvid? I'm curious how you did it, because like I searched for an autocomplete add-on for Godot and didn't find one, which seemed odd. Coming from the web world, like autocompletes for everything, right? On the web, like it's a super common pattern, but maybe it's just not that common in the world of games. Okay, so added pop-up menu with existing activities. Okay, so let's do this. Let's make autocomplete. So on, not text entered, text changed. Is that what I want? I may go look at the docs for that signal real quick. The Godot guys are terminal nerds. Super weird that it's not there. Yeah, autocomplete is also super common when you're working with terminal stuff, readline. But maybe you would implement it more like readline than you would a sort of webbish version of autocomplete. Never really finished it. Arvid says. Wait, no, this was the right place. I just was a little confused by that bit at the top. So okay, where's the signals? Text change. Admitted when the text changes. Okay, that's not very descriptive. What I'm wondering is, does the text changed just happen immediately a new character is typed? Or does it have some sort of debounce? Or is it, what is it doing? We probably want some kind of debounce, which maybe we'll have to implement ourselves. I don't know. For those who don't know, debounce is basically like you want to avoid firing way too many events. So you set up like a timer where every time an event happens, you start a timer for a very short period of time, sometimes like, I don't know, 100 milliseconds. And if another event comes in before the timer goes off, you just stop and start the timer again, so that an event doesn't happen until like the stream of events has paused for 100 milliseconds or whatever period of time you set it for. Your chats are not showing, noob reviewer. Are you talking about on the overlay? So YouTube chats don't appear as the actual text. It should show like a bunch of symbols, but it's possible it's not working at all. The overlay has been giving loads of problems. By the way, for those who do not know, the overlay is a Godot app. We built it on stream about a year ago. So any bugs in it are mostly my fault. Some of them are Restream's fault, in that Restream does have occasional issues, and we're using the Restream API to get the chat information. So did we connect to that signal? We did. So there we go. It's pasting from the wrong buffer. All right. So if the text is changed, then what we want to do is show the pop-up, and we want to hide everything that doesn't match our autocomplete, doesn't match some part of the text. And so what's the best way to do that? We didn't keep any like local data. We're just adding the items to the activity pop-up. So I guess we will be looping over the items on the activity pop-up, which I think is fine. So we need to say how will we do this? We'll say for activity pop-up menu get item count. There's some sort of count thing, right? Or say index in get item count. There we go. Get item count. And I don't know that we have to put this in a range, but it feels better to me when I put it in a range. And then we're going to say if if new text is empty, or if don't say if again, or activity pop-up menu get item text, or if we'll say new text. Does this work in GDScript? Saying text in text, string in string? Is that a thing we can do? Oh, all your chats are not appearing in YouTube? I mean, I'm seeing them in my restream chat and over on Discord. So they're getting somewhere. Your chats are going somewhere, noob reviewer. Is your VR series a good place to hear more about input handling? Currently, my game is kind of a disaster for input. You're talking about the WebXR stuff? The WebXR devlogs are devlogs, really. They aren't tutorials so much. There is one tutorial video, but it does talk about input a little bit, I think. But there's a text version of the WebXR tutorial, which is good. And there is the new thing that we added in 3.5 to map the WebXR input to the same kind of input that you get from like SteamVR or OpenXR, which then you can just do input the way you would for those VR interfaces, which there's probably some more documentation for those. But yeah, I guess that's where I would start. If you're talking about OpenXR, I haven't done really anything VR tutorial-ish that wasn't WebXR. Otherwise, again, there's the devlogs for my VR voxel builder, but there's no those don't teach anything. They're just straight up devlogs. Okay, so what was I coming over here to see? I was going to look at the documentation for string. See if there's like a contains method. There's a find method. Find the first occurrence of a substring. Okay. I don't know if the in thing works. We'll do find. Find new text does not equal -1. And if that is the case, then we'll say activity, pop-up menu. I think there's a thing where we control the visibility of items. At least there better be. Otherwise, I'm going to have to totally change my approach here. Pop-up menu. Disabled. Set item. Can we just hide? Or is it only disable? Uh-oh. I really thought there was a way we could hide an item. But it looks like we might only be able to disable them. I guess for testing purposes, let's just disable them, and then we're going to have to write a new method that basically rebuilds the activity menu based on our filtering, which is fine. Set item disabled index. Does that take a bool? Set item. Okay, yes it does. So we want to say no, here false and here true. Oh. Okay. Ah, spam! It's a spam attack. Let's get rid of you. Sorry, not VR input specific, just my input in general has nowhere to live. Maybe come to Discord later and we can chat through that more. I don't entirely understand what help you're looking for, but we can figure it out. Welcome to the stream. Hello, I have one question. Godot has 3D animation events by frame. If so, what the name on the documentation? 3D animation events by frame. So if you are doing your animations via Animation Player, which you probably are, at least in part, I think there's some events, some signals you can connect to on Animation Player. Not by frame. They would be done by time, I think. What are the signals on Animation Player? Finished, started, changed. 3D animations by frame. I guess, what are you trying to do with those 3D animations? So generally, when you're not trying to do things like deterministically for some reason, you deal with everything in time because you want to render as much as you can, depending on, like, you know, you want to render as close to the VSync of whatever the device is as you can. Maybe you might want to render more, or not render. Maybe you might want to run your loop more often than the VSync if you want to have more simulation in there or whatever. But if your user has a 90 hertz monitor, you want to render 90 frames per second. And if someone has a 60 hertz monitor, you want to render 60 frames per second. So you'd usually think of these things in time. I think you could. Like, let's say your animation player is on, because you can change whether the animation player runs on the idle or the physics frame. I think you could, if you're running, like, say on the physics frame, I think you could have like an underscore process method that checks like the current position of the animation player, something like that. You could build a 3D animation by frame. I don't think it's an existing setting. For example, in the same frame, the unit is swinging, a sword spawn a slash particle. Yeah, so what I would do for that is I would have a method call frame, or method call track. So let me demonstrate this in a test scene. So imagine that we have like some actual mesh here or whatever that we're animating. We have our animation player, and your animation will of course have tracks that are like changing the position and orientation of bones or whatever. You could also add a call method track, which will call methods on your script. I guess we need a script. And you would make a method like spawn particles. And then in here, you'd have the code that actually spawns the particles, right? And on your animation, you would have this call method track. And you would say, okay, at this point in the animation, I'm going to add a key that calls the spawn particles method. So then it kind of doesn't matter what frame it is on. It's just whenever the animation gets to that point, it will call your spawn particles method, which you can, have your spawning your particles. I hope that makes sense. Something semi-popular is animating an animation player with an animation player. Yes, that is a thing you can also do. You can have a separate animation player for your particles, although I expect you won't. For your particles, you probably have a CPU particles or GPU particles that you're just going to enable, and it'll start, doing its thing. Awesome. I am happy to help. All right, let's kill this. Don't save. And we don't really need this either. Let's test that this enabling disabling thing is working, and then we'll refactor this code to do what I think we need to do to actually filter it, which is wipe everything out and recreate it every time we filter it. Which is another reason why we need a debounce. We don't necessarily want that to happen every keystroke. We want it to happen after you've stopped stroking keys for at least like 100 milliseconds or something like that. Okay, so let's try this. So I'm going to type a T. Oh, we forgot to show the menu. Okay, let's we don't say activity menu pop-up. Okay, there we go. T. There we go. Okay, so it's hiding, it's disabling everything that doesn't start with a T, which what we actually want to have is these to just not even be here. So we're on the right track. We just need to change this up a little bit. So what this means is we need to keep track of all of the activities that we got. So we need to have an activity list, which I'm going to make be like a private variable, because why not? And load activity list is going to populate that. It's going to loop over these and say, hang on, we're going to clear it, activity list, clear, and then we're going to add each item, which is just activity data name. And then we're going to need a method to, we'll say, refresh activity pop-up menu with a filter string, which is going to work sort of like this. Activity pop-up menu clear, we need to clear it out. I'm going to loop over not that data, but the activity list we just populated. Trying to go a little bit fast because the stream is ending soon. We have about 15 minutes until I have to log off and get ready for a work meeting. So activity name. Oh, actually no, we want to take this code. Activity list isn't a variable. Activity list. Yeah, autocomplete can really make your typos propagate there. Okay, so for activity name and activity list, we will check if the filter equals nothing or the activity name would change to forward dot activity name find filter, and then instead of set item we will add item activity name, and then otherwise we won't add the item. I think that works. So then here we can refresh the list right away, refresh the menu right away, get rid of that. On activity button pressed. I guess this should refresh the list also, so maybe we don't need to do it here. Because if we had a previous filter, we want pressing the button to, I guess, clear out the filter. I'm not sure if that's right, actually. We may be changing that later. And then when the text changes, we want to pop up the activity menu and refresh it to filter for the new text. That code may be correct. Let's just try it real quick. And I did hear some notifications for chats, and I'll take a look at what folks have been saying in a moment. Okay, so nope. Okay, type a T. Okay, TA. Ooh, but it takes away focus. Does the pop-up menu steal focus? It appears to. Yeah. So we need a little bit of work there. All right, we're heading in the right direction though. Let me see what folks are saying. Logan, I've never heard of animating an animation player with an animation player. That hurts my brain. Yeah, there's actually a special track type for it. I already got rid of that test scene. But here. We will just get an animation player going for a second. There is an animation playback track, which allows you to start another animation player. I believe that's what that track does. I could be wrong. But also there's animation trees, which are sort of a way of animating other animation players. But yeah, it's animation player turtles all the way down. It can make certain workflows a lot less annoying if you're having problems with re-importing animations. Crabsoft, why the letter M for the button? So this is a dumb reason, but the letter M is the widest character in a font. It's what defines the max width of a font. That's why there's a unit in CSS called EMs. How many M widths? So that's why I chose it. But I'm going to replace it with an icon. I'm going to replace it with like a down chevron. It's just a temporary thing for the stream. I didn't feel like picking icons for a button was a good stream content. All right. So what we have is sort of working, but it's messing with focus in a weird way. Let me go to the docs for pop-up menu and probably actually the parent. Time to relax and focus. Yes, you are at the right stream time to relax and focus. Welcome. What version of Godot are you using? I'm using 3.5.0. I know there's a bunch of regressions and bugs in 3.5 that will probably be fixed in 3.5.1, but I have not really encountered any problems. I'm very happy with it. All right, so when we call pop-up, show the control in a modal form. Centered min size and clamped. So when we show the pop-up, it is stealing focus. Is there a way to prevent that? Maybe a property we could set, pop-up exclusive. So if true, the pop-up will not be hidden when a click event occurs outside of it or when it receives the UI cancel action event. We do want those things to happen though. I could try changing it and just see what that does. Hide on item select, hide on click item selected, hide on true, hide some item state item is selected. Allow search. Oh no, that's a different thing. That's sort of what we're doing, but it's not. Submenu pop-up. Delay in seconds for submenu pop-up hovering. Okay, we're just gonna try this exclusive and see how that affects things. I don't think it's what we want though. Yep. Okay, so maybe an option is that we just have the field grab focus again. So we know the pop-up menu is grabbing focus. We'll just grab focus right after we show it. So maybe let's change the order of this a little bit. And then we'll say activity field grab focus. Hopefully that doesn't make typing weird. It could though. Hey, and if I press down, what happens? Not what I want to happen. So what I want to happen when we press down in this line edit is to jump to the first item in the pop-up. So we can probably do some stuff to make that happen. Field activity. So one option is we can set the focus neighbor bottom to be the activity pop-up menu, but we actually don't want to have it be that always, right? Only when the pop-up menu is shown do we want that to happen. Otherwise, we want it to follow the natural order. So maybe what we should do is connect to GUI input so we can write our own logic. Let's give that a shot. Get this up here and I'll see what just popped up in chat here. Nice. Okay, so we want to say if event is action UI down, which would be, you know, the down arrow or down on a gamepad, which I don't imagine anyone's ever used this with a gamepad, but that's semantically the right thing to do. And we want it to be only the pressed action. We don't want it to happen twice for the press and unpress. So if event pressed is pressed. I thought there was just a pressed property. There isn't? Pressed? Oh, okay. Oh, we can say is action pressed. That's quite nice. Okay, there we go. Is action pressed. Then we need to say if pop-up activity, pop-up menu visible, then what is it that we do to say we're accepting GUI input? I always forget the way to do this. So I think it's on control input. Call accept input. Okay. Call or accept event. Once you accept an event, it stops propagating. Okay, so we want to call I guess we're going to say whose accept event though? I guess activity field accept event? Does that seem right? I just don't want it to also do the default action, right? I'm trying to prevent it pressing down from doing the default as well. So now we want to say activity pop-up menu grab focus, or is there a special method we need to call to focus a particular item? That is something I want to figure out here. Set current item. What does that do? Sets the focused item as the given. Okay, cool. So that's actually what we're going to do. We're going to do activity pop-up menu, set current index. I don't know if this starts at 0, if it starts at 1. We will hope that it starts at 0. No, it does start at 0 because our loop earlier started at 0 and it worked fine. Okay, so let's give this a try. So I'm typing, press down. Hey! Let's see if there's more than one item. Press down. It's still getting absorbed. If I press enter. No, this is not working the way I want it to work. Let's see. Is the problem that it's counting my down press as a text changed? We can find out by printing some stuff to logs. Text changed. And let's put this down here so we can see. Now I press down. No, it's not. But it's strangely, this is still focused. Maybe what we need to do is do both things. Activity menu, grab, focus, and give that a try. Or I need something that's got 2 options. Hey, there we go. Oh, that's beautiful. And if I hit escape, it goes back to there. That's nice. That's really nice. We probably want to set the caret, the text edit caret, to the end once we've selected an item. So we'll say activity field. How do we set the caret? Caret position equals, I don't know, can we say -1? Will that put it at the end? That'd be really cool. Nope, that didn't work. Let's go look at the docs. For line edit. Sent you my autocomplete implementation via DM and Discord. Yeah, I am very curious to see how you approached it. Even if like I end up sticking with mine, like it's just interesting to see how different people approach the same problems. Here's position the text accommodate it. So what if I just set this to the length of the text? If we just said here we'll do text equals this, caret position equals how do we get length of a string in Godot? Length, okay, like that. Autocomplete to the rescue. Okay, so yeah, puts it at the end. Sweet. And then probably the last thing that we want, because we're just out of time. The last thing that we probably want is to have pressing enter in the activity field to start the timer. We'll do that really, really quick, and then we will say our goodbyes and end the stream. But this was a good stream. The first half we did like Postgres SQL stuff that worked perfectly, which was awesome. And then in the second half, got this activity pop-up autocomplete thing working. So here we go, on timer button pressed. That should be enough. Let's get rid of all these new lines that seem to accrue at the bottom of the file there. And check this out. So I go T, capital T doesn't work. We need to make it case insensitive. Case sensitivity is not good here. And then I hit working, and then I hit enter again, and it starts the timer. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's commit this to Git. I can delete that spatial GD. See what we added. Yeah, this all looks good. Get an autocomplete sort of working. Exclamation point. Whew. Well, thanks everyone for coming to the stream. This was a good one. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. And I'll chat with you on Discord. If you're not already on the Discord, come over and hang out. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.